Hey everybody, Jerome, B Fam Cooking. You know what this is. Not another cooking episode. We're back in the mode of post-COVID. That would be the restaurant beyond the restaurant doors part of the playlist. Today we have Amanda Jaenicke. Yes,
Yeah,
chef?
yeah, you got it right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. I love when I get the names right. Those are really important. And she is a pastry chef. Let's talk about your bio. Today's guest is Amanda Jaenicke. She's currently the pastry chef at the Preston House and Hotel in Riverhead, New York. This star chef is also a professional assistant at Suffolk Community College, teaching baking and pastry classes. Back in 2018, Amanda graduated with a degree in baking and pastry classes from the same Suffolk County Community College. The James Beard Award-winning chef, Claudia Fleming, of North Fork Table and Inn fame, selected Amanda to become her Pastry Sous Chef at the start of her career. Great restaurant, you should check it out. Within a few years, she began working as a full-time pastry chef at the Preston House and Hotel. In 2021, she completed her second degree in hotel restaurant management. Soon after, she started working as a professional assistant at Suffolk Community College. Now and since 2023, Chef Amanda also created some of the outstanding pastry dishes for Canoe Place Inn and Cottage. I met this outstanding pastry chef at a foodie event given by Gustibus Cooking School. The event was located at the Canoe Place Inn and Cottage. I can't wait to show you off to everyone else. Your food looks fantastic. And you and your cheesecake is the very first cheesecake Jerome has ever eaten. So you know, people, it's got to be good. I have tried cheese, yes, and cake. And very, very important. Is there another name for cheesecake as a pastry chef? What? I need an alternate.
No, I mean, not that I know of. I mean, wow, I'm so flattered that mine's the first cheesecake that you've had. Thank you.
Well, I don't know what it is, but I know what it is. It's cheese and cake. That's the part that drives me the most insane. I can't mentally get around it in my brain. Cheese, cake, and sweet. Okay.
Think of it as like baked cheese. It's like, I guess, sweet.
That's not helping.
No.
Yeah, so it's sort of like rice pudding. Rice pudding, I don't like for the look of it. It reminds me of something else. I don't want to tell you what it is. I know that it's delicious. The ingredients in it are perfectly fine, and I love tapioca. Right, my wife's going to correct me later whether I said it or not correctly. But you have got a ton of experience from my level of standing for pastries, and that's what I wanted to really get into you. I met you, and well, I actually didn't meet you during the event. My wife met you during her part of the event. I was cooking twice cooked duck, but my wife made a lemon tart with you guys. Can you tell me a little bit about the event?
Sure, yeah. So we had people come into Canoe Place, and you guys were our people. So we had the cooking class come in, and we picked the lemon meringue tart to show you guys how to make. It was all Hope's recipes. I was just really lucky to be like giving a helping hand and all that, setting up all the demos. It was really, really fun. And everyone was super nice, super everyday cooking things I tried to do. So it was really fun.
Could you do me a favor and just back up a little bit? You froze there. I'm loving the way how internet works, but it's a very strange thing. I'm not sure if it caught you or didn't catch you. Right in the middle, you started to say about the people.
Yes.
Try it one more time.
Everyone there was so enthusiastic, really willing to learn and asking a lot of questions. It was a really fun experience. Group.
Great. So pastry chef, why pastry? I mean, I love savory stuff, and I know that
pastry can be savory. But I mean, making bread every day, getting up, I'm to understand you guys are like the donut people, time to make the donuts every morning. You got to get up every morning. I'm not a morning person. So tell me about pastries.
Yeah, so at every family gathering, we always have I have a big family, so we have a lot of food, but it always comes down to a lot of desserts, a lot of different options. So I guess growing up around that, it really I have a sweet tooth 100%. So it was really fun trying new things. And then once I got a little bit older and, learned a few kitchen skills, it was really exciting to decorate and make things taste good and also look really, really cute and presentable. And it was a whole new world I didn't know anything about. So I decided to kind of go towards that direction because it was really fun for me to put artistic skills into something that you can actually like enjoy and it tastes good, and it's not just about the looks of it, it's about how it tastes. So it was really just drew me in.
Great. My wife says something to me that really I don't understand. Too much chocolate? Is it possible to put too much chocolate in one dessert?
I would say yes. In my opinion, there is a line. There could be too much chocolate, but I will say I love chocolate. I love all kinds of chocolate, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white. And actually there is probably my all-time favorite kind of chocolate, which is like a little secret I learned about, is caramelized white chocolate. So a lot of people say like white chocolate isn't really chocolate, but if you take white chocolate and you put it on a silpat in the oven and you keep mixing it every 5 minutes, it turns this really beautiful caramel color. And the taste of it is just, it brings the white chocolate to a whole nother level. It's really, but there can be too much chocolate, I will say. I like to break up, if I'm doing like a chocolate dessert or a plated dessert, I like to add maybe like a fruity element in there to really help bring out the chocolate, complement it.
Like cherries or peaches?
Yeah, honestly, there's so many. I did have a chocolate lava cake on the menu, and I paired that with like raspberries, freeze-dried raspberries, or raspberry sauce. And I feel like it helps balance it out a little bit, but also the chocolate helps the raspberry helps the chocolate. You could also do mint too, or cherry ice cream with the lava cake. Before, I like to play around and mix it up and see what exactly works best.
Sounds fantastic. So this week was Mother's Day week, and Mother's Day week, yes, that's what it is. So I made the crust that you guys had at the event, and it's a big hit at work because I brought some in, so that worked out pretty well. But you have several different new opportunities. You worked at a place that had a dessert that I really loved. Can you tell me a little bit about Norfolk Table and Inn and your experience there?
Sure. So when I started working there were 4 pastry girls and Claudia. So when I first reached out to her, she told me her pastry team was full. She said, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I have a full pastry kitchen right now, but I'm willing to have you come in, do a trail, and see how you like it. And somehow I wiggled my way in, and I'm so lucky and so grateful that because I learned so much from her. And the other girl I worked with, Gabby, I learned so much from her too. She actually went to school with me. I graduated. So it was a really fun experience. I really loved working for her. It was such an honor. Every day I was there, I was just so grateful. I'm like, I am learning from the best. I need to take it all in. I tried to write down as much as I could just to learn how she worked. And she's big, still is a big like mentor to me. So
I understand that place was a landmark for my wife and I to go to. We spent several anniversaries there, so really, really special. And now I'm to understand they're under new ownership, so it's also been pretty good. So we're okay. But Canoe Inn has been renovated. The Canoe Place, was my first time there, and I think my wife's first time. but my sister-in-law lives near there, which is pretty cool. And I think that it's going to be a fantastic new place to hang out at. South Shore,
Definitely.
North Shore difference. So you went to school, you went to work at one I think Long Island's best restaurants on the East End, right? And then you went to work at the other place that I'm seeing in Riverhead. Remind me of that name again of the new place.
The Preston House.
The Preston House, yes, ma'am. Across the street from the Long Island Aquarium. Outstanding location. The food was great, and that cheesecake. Let's talk about cheesecake.
Sure. So, what was your experience with it? I don't want to go too much into detail.
So we had it was a creme brulee cheesecake, which was really, really good. Right. My experience with it was I was shocked at how good it was. Honestly, I really don't like cheesecake. It's only, I don't know what it is. So creamy, yes. The little thin crust was really nice, right? Nice touch anyway. I mean, I think it probably would have been better if I had eaten it when I was there, but I had other desserts there. You guys were very generous with us. So it was all really, really good. I had to wait on it to have it later because we went for afternoon brunch. So.
Right. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so it's basically, I want to say it's almost a New York style cheesecake because it's made with cream cheese. But the reason I call it a creme brulee cheesecake is because I add more egg yolks into it to make it a little bit more creamier. And actually, I really fluff up the cream cheese and the sugar when I make it. This way, it's really smooth. And when I start adding in the eggs and the egg yolks, it gets a little bit fluffier. I hate to use that word, but a little bit airier. Once it comes out of the oven and I go to serve it, I sprinkle sugar on top and I take the blowtorch and I torch it on top to give it that creme brulee crust on top.
If you had a favorite dessert, what would it be?
Favorite that I've made?
You tell me.
Well, I'm a little biased, but I would say one of my favorite desserts that I've eaten or have had the pleasure of eating is Claudia's award-winning tapioca, coconut tapioca with the passion fruit and the basil syrup. It was my favorite combination. I've never had tapioca before that. And I've never really been a fan of coconut or passion fruit. It was really early on in my career. So it was really surprising how good it was. So that will always stick with me. One of sorry, go ahead.
No, please go. I was just going to say that combinations of different flavors added: tapioca, coconut, the basil, and the mango that was in it. Oh, was the passion fruit? Mango was something. It was two different flavors, like a yellow.
When I was there, it was passion fruit and coconut. But in her cookbook, it is with also she added mango.
I thought so because I've had it several ways. Yeah, it's definitely in texture. It was definitely a textural plate that was, and it looked beautiful. Especially the sparkly greens. It was the green was really like, yeah, it's definitely a great thing. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. So favorite desserts that I've made is actually part of the recipe that I sent you. Is the Bavarian cream puff. So I had this back at Preston, when I first started working there, we had a dessert called Bavarian cream with caramelized apples. And it was basically a bowl of caramelized apples with some Bavarian cream on I made. And this is that recipe. And we did almond crumbles with it. And then the next season comes around for fall. You have putting it, instead of just in a bowl, what if we put it in a huge cream puff? And I'll make this, I can never pronounce the word right, but basically a brown sugar caramel on crust on top of the cream puff, slice it open, put those caramelized apples in there, layer it on with that Bavarian cream, close it up, and then drizzle some salted caramel and those almond crumbles on the plate. And it was my favorite to actually make and experiment with. and also one of my favorites to eat. Never really been an apple pie fan, per se. I mean, it's a great dish. It's never been like my number one, but that cream puff made me an apple pie fan. It made me really like that apple and cream, like Bavarian cream combination. So
I will have to come back and try that. I mean, now that you mention it, is it a bird cage of sugar? Is that what you're trying to do on top, or is it you're doing like a what is that stuff in the carnival that you get? Cotton candy on top. Which are you doing?
Oh, well, so actually it's like a drizzle on the plate, but that would actually be a really great idea to do like a cage kind of on top, break through the layers and stuff. That's a good idea.
Well, that's what I thought of when you were describing, because you were doing this. So it was like, that looks like it would be a cage, and then you'd have this puff inside, and yeah, that would be pretty good. Not make any suggestions, but I'll be back for that.
No, it's great. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, mint leaf on top with something that looks like an apple, and then an inner apple, and then oh boy, no, it's driving me crazy. But so I assume you travel. I understand that you are married now and that you're moving forward in your life. What is your primary goal on being a pastry chef? You're gonna try and do TV next or anything like that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm actually, I'm engaged. Wedding's coming up very soon, so very excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm learn everything that I can. I know I'm still at the beginning phases I feel very lucky to be where I'm at and where I've been to get here. And I just want to keep learning as much as I can. That's kind of why I have like 3 jobs at the moment. I really can't settle down on what exactly where I want to go. I really like restaurants. I love working in restaurants. And I just want to keep learning and see what other experiences are and how I can grow to be better. So I think I'll just keep hopping around or keep trying to grow my portfolio. I wouldn't be opposed to a TV show, but I don't know if I'm ready for that yet.
Well, they have all those. I mean, it's basically 2 different types of television shows that are out there for people who like food. There are the cooking competitions that have savory dishes, and then there's the baking situations. I'm more of a savory person, so I would say I lean towards that. But my neighbor just commented, he's a part owner in a restaurant. So he was commenting, "You're making a lot more pastries lately." I go, "Oh, I didn't notice, but I think it's because things are in season now." And right. We have all those basic events. So I'm trying to do, strawberries and your lemon tart, and I don't have any plans on anything else, but that's basically what I've done the last couple of weeks. Was a strawberry with white chocolate, and then that was a mousse, and then your tart. So working on not working on anything in particular, just happens to be because I share with all of my neighbors. I live in one of those little areas where you can put neighbors right next to each other. You just pass it over. It's like step out the door, step next door, pass it over.
Aw. Yeah, I think I saw your pictures on Instagram. Oh my gosh, they came out so good. Your little tarts.
Thank you. So you're not, no plans besides getting married soon. I assume then, and maybe some television soon. I'm praying for you. Have you applied for anything? Maybe you should apply. I mean, it's really, you're not going to necessarily be gone for too long. You wouldn't be away from the office the kitchen too long.
I guess that's true.
And Food Network is right in the city, right at Chelsea Market.
I didn't think about it. Honestly, it's never really occurred to me until you asked. I would always watch these shows, or people would ask me questions about them. Like, oh, is that really how you do that? Or I heard this term. That's my favorite. When people are ask me questions about, what does that word mean? I heard them use that word. Is that really the word you use? So it's kind of funny, those French cooking terms, but that's something I should look into. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't take that. I mean, I know a couple of chefs who have done some of the smaller things and beat Bobby Flay, some of that stuff. But the reason why I'm asking is because there are so many different opportunities here in the New York area. Seeing that you're a New Yorker, right? It's always important to get that type of exposure. Maybe I don't know, food and wine something, or maybe an online class that you can level yourself up. If there was a new, I mean, you teach at Suffolk Community College. If a new student walked up to you and said, "What should I do with my career?" What would you suggest to them as a new pastry chef? Did you hear me?
Yes, I did.
Cool.
That's a hard question. I would probably, if I just met them, I'd probably ask them a whole lot of questions. Exactly where their mindset is. What do you like doing? What don't you like? What kind of kitchen experience do you have? That's honestly one of the biggest things I find, because when I went to school, I worked at a bakery. So I got to learn a lot about bakeries, and I didn't really work in a restaurant. So, and almost everybody I graduated with, they're out of the field now because they didn't have jobs or got any kitchen experience when we were in school. So now that they were in school and they graduated and they finally jumped into the field, they all decided, oh, I don't want to work weekends. I don't want to, or whatever the case may be, or this is not what I was expecting. So I always, I've had a couple of students already try to ask me, they were like, oh, you have any recommendations? And I'm like, well, where do you want to be? And then I can direct you from there. It all depends on where their passion is at. If they really love bakeries and they love waking up, like you said, every morning and making bread, and bread making is just what they want to do, then maybe where it is for you, because you're only going to be making 1 or 2 types of bread a day. So I guess that's how I would kind of direct them. It's see where they want to be and where they've been, because that's really important too.
Right, because there's these 2 avenues that people have as a chef, right? Is it that specific to say that you're a pastry chef or a savory chef? Is that the thing that we have to worry about as people who like food? I should always go to a place that has a pastry chef versus just a regular chef.
Right. Well, I find kitchens, so a savory chef, they have typically, I'm speaking very generally from what I know, but they have a narrower baking and pastry experience. I know in our program, we require culinary kids to take baking 1, but they don't have to take baking 2, baking 3, do an internship, that kind of stuff. They don't have to get into the details of it, but they have a general idea of how baking works. And I find that their desserts are not as complex, or it's more in like a savory way, like, oh, I'm kind of just gonna throw this together and see how it works. But chefs are really talented. I'm not that much of a cook myself. I find baking is easier for me because you follow a recipe, and then once you have the basics down, then you can sort of mess around with flavors and what goes well together and how you want it to look. So as long as I have a standard recipe or, certain methods that you need to stick by, then I can be creative in that way.
And when you're plating, how about that? That sounds like when you're working for a place like the place you're working at currently, right? The 2 places you're working at, where they're a fine dining place, looking for a plate to come out that are beautiful, eye appealing, and not just an eclair thrown on a plate. How is it that you craft those ideas to get the perfect plating situation for a particular pastry?
Well, I get some ideas from things I've done in the past, or what Claudia did in the past, and I try to get some ideas from that. Want things to look, you don't want to, it can be difficult. it can be difficult. I get a lot of inspiration online too. I find plating, it's the fun part because you have all the hard work is already done. You already know the flavors are going to go well because you've tasted everything. And then it's like, okay, I have a plate, now what? And then I find even choosing the right plate. We only really have 2 standard size plates right now. So I don't have that many options, but it's how I'm going to make it different than what I already have. And how is it going to be for the person eating it? How am I going to make it easy for them and how it makes sense? And those kinds of things are always going on in my head. So I try to think about if I'm the person sitting down, how would it make sense for me to eat it? Because if I put the sauce all the way over here and the main thing's over here, they're not going to get the sauce or, stuff like that.
Yeah, see, when everybody wants to have the perfect bite. It's what's important to me, and I assumed for a lot of other diners. So if you were to do a culinary adventure for yourself, what would that be? What would that look like?
A culinary adventure?
Yes, so that's what I call the event that the Gustibus set up for us to attend what you were teaching. So now it's a question about if you were to attend an event, what would it look like?
Wow. Like generally speaking, on easier ways how to cook at home. And I know for me, it's like my number one reason why I'm not a huge at-home cooker is, I guess that's what you'd call it, is because I don't have everything like readily available. In the kitchen, it's a lot easier because I have everything right there. So maybe some tips on key things I need to have in my fridge at all times. And this is really the best equipment you need. You don't actually need this, or you can do this way at home. I would look for things like that, and maybe learning something that can be done multiple ways. So if it's a chicken, how different ways I can cook that same chicken and other things I could pair it with that will make sense, and it'll be easy for me to whip up right away, or say, oh, you know what? Asparagus isn't in this, or something like that.
Yes, asparagus is not in season, but it's in season right now. But
Right.
Is it in season right now? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, green vegetables right now, peas and things would all be.
They're starting.
Right. Yeah, just now the new ones, like the ramps for the onions. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I love asking these unusual questions because as a chef, I know you get creative ideas from something, or better yet, you're focused on a particular thing for this year. Like myself, I'm focused on Latin food. That's my biggest thing for this year. So working on, if I was going to do a dessert, it would be like tres leche or something like that for this year. So I figured, I figured, oh, thanks. I haven't, now I didn't even think about it till right now. I'm like, now I got to conquer that. Oh no, I really want to work on moles. That's my biggest thing for this year, is to do that. We're supposed to take a trip for it. But for you're not doing savory, so you're doing pastry work, and plating is you already discussed that. But I'm like trying to figure out the best edges for a culinary pastry chef. You guys get a different taupe than other chefs? Do you get that? Is it the same taupe? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Give me a little structure around that. As a pastry chef, you could be a baker. You can be.
So when you go to school for baking and pastry, the career paths that you have are either working in a bakery or working in a restaurant. And from what I've learned, I mean, there are more options. There is helping teach at the school, which is a really great way to like utilize my degree in a whole nother way, because I'm still, baking, I'm still creating, but now I have to learn how to translate those skills to new people who don't know yet, or how to teach them. There's also a couple of other rare career paths, you could say. I think there's on like television, or they do like YouTube channels. One right now. A lot of kids who are coming to the school, I know a few of them who say they're just coming to school because they want to learn so that they can make YouTube videos and better their videos, but like media baking. So there's a lot of other career paths in there, but the two main ones would be a bakery or a restaurant, as far as off the top of my head. I mean, of course, you could utilize that, like side, I make cakes on the side. I don't really have an established business because I'm just so busy with everything else. But if somebody reaches out to me on Instagram and they're like, I saw your cakes, I would really love one, then I have a whole price sheet for them. And that's a whole nother side of it, is doing cakes. I've done a few wedding cakes. And that it feels like it could be a business itself. I know one of the chefs I work with, she does a food truck, and so there's a lot of different options out there, but like those would be the main two. And when I went to school, those were the main two that I knew of. I feel like this industry has been changing a lot since I went to school. So it's kind of hard to keep up with, what's changing and what's new, but I'm always looking to see what other people are doing and the creative ideas that they have.
It's the COVID change. COVID changed everything, and we're just trying to figure out what that is. So media obviously is an opportunity of which I'm partaking in. And yes, if I was going to culinary school, that's what I would be looking to do myself. So, which is, I guess, why I take so many classes currently.
Right.
But yes, there was something that popped into my head while you were speaking, and I'm trying to remember exactly how I wanted to phrase this. So I was going to make a joke of it and say something like, so you're Jamaican, you have what, 4 or 5 jobs? How many jobs you got? This is like you're baking on the side, you got to baking for 2 separate companies, and now I'm telling you to go into media. So that's 4 jobs right there. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm the pastry chef at Preston. I work pastry at Canoe Place part-time. I'm an professional assistant at the culinary school, and then I do cakes on the side. So that's 4 jobs. I used to work at the front desk maybe 2 weeks ago at Preston House, but I cut it down a little bit. This way I could focus more on everything else that I'm doing.
Yeah, that's a lot of jobs for one person. That is a lot. But
I like to stay busy.
Stay busy. Well, and you got a wedding to pay for. I understand.
Yes, exactly.
This is crazy. But I think we need to talk about your recipe.
Sure.
Talk me through this. What are the tips and tricks? The one thing that I need to take away from making that dessert, the Bavarian cream puff.
Yeah, so the recipe for Bavarian cream, the key would be tempering your eggs properly, which is when you take the hot cream and milk mixture, you bring it up to a boil, then you start tempering your eggs, which means you're whisking your eggs constantly. You don't want the eggs to ever stop moving, because if the eggs stop moving, that's when it'll start cooking. Or scrambling, I should say. They're going to be cooked, but you don't want scrambled eggs. So you keep whisking it, screaming in your hot milk, and then you bring that whole mixture back onto the heat, and then you don't stop mixing. You just keep whisking until it's really, really thick and it starts to boil. And then you could turn it off and you can stop whisking because it's good now. No scrambled eggs.
So would you suggest that you do that in a blender, maybe on a low speed?
Well, it has to be on the heat, but as you are whisking, I would keep the heat. When I tell students, about tempering, I always tell them just stay at a low temperature. It's going to take you longer. Your arm might start hurting. You're going to have to switch arms, learn how to whisk with both arms. But if you go slow, it chance of you cooking have some little bits of scrambled egg in there. You can always strain it through a chinois, or you could take an immersion blender at the end, like you were saying with a blender, and blend it all together, and it should be nice and smooth.
So I like to use the blender because you need to do the same practice with hollandaise sauce. So you mix it, I put the eggs into the hollandaise sauce to turn it all the way up, and then slowly stream in the warmed, the butter, and get it to go to temperature. And because it's a Vitamix, it's actually warming it. It gets hot, pretty hot. You can get smoke coming out of it. So you want to keep that going. But you don't know what to do.
I was gonna say, I wonder if you can make it if you get your milk and cream warm enough. I wonder if it'll cook fast enough in there. I've never made it that way, but
I made the tart in the blender.
Okay.
the lemon
curd?
Yep, 100%.
Oh, and that's the same. It's the eggs in. So I wonder, that would be something I'd have to try.
Yeah. Well, it's just that I had the Vitamix and I don't like whisking. So
It is tiring.
It is tiring. Anything about pâte choux when you're making the cream puff? Chicks on the pâte choux.
Sure. So when you're making a pâte choux, I would say the biggest tip I could give you would be letting your base paste, let it cool for a few minutes. So before you start adding your eggs, let it sit for 10, 15 minutes until all the steam is off and it's not cooled down to room temperature, it's still a little warm, and then you can start adding your egg. One of the chefs that I work with at the school, he advises that you take the paste, and this is a new thing he's been doing, take the paste and put it in the walk-in and let it cool down completely, and then add your egg. I never made it like that until we started going to school, but when I learned it, it was always, right off the heat, put it in the bowl and then start mixing it. But I've been letting it sit just so that it's not as hot, and this way you don't cook your eggs.
Cook the eggs.
Right.
It all comes down to cook your eggs.
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm going to include the recipe in the description at the bottom of the video below, everyone, so you guys can check it out. And hopefully between now and then I'll get a chance to make it myself, and maybe we'll have you back on to discuss what happened, because I've had a few fails. So it only because, as my wife says, I have a tendency not to follow the directions. Yeah, I like to deviate just a little bit, just to see like your crust I made for the lemon tart. I used Szechuan peppercorns.
Oh, okay.
So, and the people here loved it. So, and my mother-in-law loved it, and my wife loved it. So there you go. It's asking, because I actually thought that's what you guys were using, so that's what I ordered from Amazon. But it wasn't when I read the recipe. I was like, what is this?
Yeah. It was Aleppo, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aleppo peppercorn. What else would you use that with, though? I have a lot of peppers, but Aleppo peppers would only be used for that. I don't even know if I can get it that small quantity.
You might be able to get it on Amazon.
Teeny tiny bit? I don't know. We'll see.
Well, not a teeny tiny bit. You probably have to order a jar, but then yeah.
Yeah, I'm on a spice club too, so it's like you get a whole bunch of other things that my wife's already yelling at me about. But it's been a pleasure to have you on this episode. I hope that you have a chance to watch it yourself. Thank you very much. Again, you're an outstanding pastry chef. Again, you're the first and only cheesecake that I've ever eaten. And thanks to you, my wife is going to definitely not let me live it down. So I'll have more cheesecake.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate it. So thank you. And thanks for coming and checking us out and eating my desserts. And that's just awesome. So thank you.
maybe we'll see you next year at Canoe Place. Excuse me, I keep thinking of its palace. Maybe because it was so great. I mean, it was really a really nice place. I mean, the rooms were New York prices, but definitely not New York room sizes. It was beautiful. So
It's like
I
a
can't
hidden
wait to go.
gem.
Hidden, yes, very, very nice. I can't
Yeah.
wait to go back next year. Hopefully, we're good to go for that, and I hope we'll see you there. Maybe you might have made some changes by then, and we can talk about it then. Are you going to ever do anything with the Gustibus in the city?
I'm not sure. I wanted to reach out to Sal to see if we can do any events, but I never even heard of it until we did that event. So I'm really interested, and even doing a similar event maybe at Preston where I'm at also, that would be really fun too. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
It's definitely a lot. I mean, we're supposed to get together again, the people who went, and do a reunion, right? So we'll see what's going to do it at the Gustibus. But I'm also recommending that we reach out to a couple of the other friends and family that we have in our little circle, like different chefs, Michelin star this and blah blah that. But it'll be fun, and I can't wait for everybody to see your work with the slideshow. I'm going to throw it right at the end of this, and hopefully they come out and check you out at any one of these places that you worked at, and we can get more people to come say hello and try some good cheesecake and other things.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This has been really fun.
Good. And we'll see you next time, everyone. It's been a pleasure, and back to BFAM Cooking. Talk to you later. Bye.